Hi, everybody. Uh, I should just admit to you, if you just watched it, that that's totally fictional. That monologue. I'm actually a Mormon uh, from Tennessee, and so I think a lot of people don't realize just how much imagination I really have. But I hope I presented the Jewish communist perspective.
You know, Josh, I think you have.
Thanks,
I'm
Stephanie.
trying to think if there was ever, I'm from upstate New York, which is about 65 miles north of New York City, Newburgh, New York.
Hmm.
And I don't know if there were any red diaper babies in Newburgh, New York. What do you think, Josh?
There were actually not in Newburgh, but there were actually some famous riots that involved the beating up of communists in upstate New York, but not in Newburgh. I'm trying to remember where that was,
Do you
but
remember what year?
it was like in the 40s or 50s
Oh, I think
when
before my time
there were communists to be beaten up in America.
in upstate New York.
Yeah,
I missed it. Oh, goodness. We only have race riots in Newburgh, New York.
cool. So for everyone who's able to hear our voices, because people didn't start all at the same time, so I think Stephanie and I are going to wait a little bit. Is that right? Before we officially start our Q&A?
Yeah, well, we don't want to wait too long. It just might mean that it goes on for a while because these people got on the stick and did it on time, and I'm not sure they should be.
Look at the note that from Sarah Sunstein. She says, we've got numerous voices at once. Josh's answers before Stephanie's.
That was entirely my fault because I'm also streaming live on YouTube at the moment, and there's like a 5-second delay. Now that I've muted it, we should not have that problem. That's entirely my fault.
Sarah Sunstein, I apologize on behalf of the entire Bay Area theatrical community.
Yes.
But hopefully now it's all cool.
Boy, we do contrition very well.
Yes. Everything, okay. Patricia Corrigan says, everything you are saying keeps repeating.
I've been saying that about Josh for years, really.
But I think she means literally.
Oh, well, that's not on our end. I'll bet she has 2 windows open.
I hear someone typing.
That's me. Writing to Patricia.
Okay. Josh, I think we should just kind of get started because there's I don't know, there's 7 pages of people. I don't know how many are actually on at this time.
Okay. Cool. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Red Diaper Baby. Whether you did or not, it was really great of you to watch it, or at least really great of you to come for the Q&A. So.
Yeah, we looked at our YouTube. Josh, how many people were on there watching?
I don't know. It's Vimeo. My Vimeo says there were a few shy of 1,000 impressions. So I hope they're good impressions. I'm not quite sure. 994 currently. So 994 people.
Wow, that's a lot of people for the Marsh.
Very few of them Republican, according to the analytics on Vimeo. But we welcome all.
So for everyone here, we'll probably repeat this a couple of times, but this is it's our second night of the MarshStream. We wanted to do something for our community and also to support the Marsh and our performers during this time. So we just started and just have been doing it like we did it in a week. So this is our second shows. We have shows every single night. Last night was our first one, which is Stephanie, as in me, MarshStream, and we had a wonderful interview with Don Reed. You can watch it on YouTube at our YouTube channel if you'd like to see it. And my next MarshStream, which is every Thursday, is with yours or him truly, Josh Kornbluth. So we'll have more interviewing with Josh next week. We also have Monday night Marsh. So we're going to have 4 short performances and people can pop on. So if you've written something, we're going to have the chance to let somebody put some writing up and perform live by video on Mondays. On Tuesday night, we have Barbara Lane. Anyone know about Barbara Lane here? She has a chronicle column.
I do.
Yeah, she does. She's done a lot of interviewing at the Commonwealth Club and you're really big. She's fabulous. So she's coming on with 3 friends on Tuesday night. On Wednesday night, we have Solo Arts Heal. So health, advocacy, and inspirational stories on video with excerpts and interviews. And then we're back to Thursday and me and Josh. So we'll hope you'll keep coming back to see what we're doing, something different. Also, starting on Monday, we have Marsh Youth Theaters having at 4 o'clock every day classes for youth. So if you know some youth that want to have some great Zoom classes, join us there. Also have to mention that if you want to make a donation, I think we have a tip jar up. And it would be really great. You'll be supporting the Marsh through this time when we have no income. 75% of our income is through ticket sales. So you can just imagine. So support us anything, $5. If you feel like it, anything you like, go to our tip jar. So let's now start. Josh, when did you make Red Diaper Baby?
That's a question with a complicated answer. So, Stephanie, let's see. The short answer is 1992, but the longer answer is that I started my very first show I started doing in the Bay Area. The very first show that I did, I called Josh Kornbluth's Daily World. And that was actually the same year, I believe, that the Marsh started, although I didn't start working with the Marsh until the following year with Haiku Tunnel. And then, and then I did a show, The Moisture Seekers, a lot of which was worked on at the Marsh, and which was, about, so that was, the Josh Kornbluth's Daily World was the communism, and The Moisture Seekers was the sex. And then I got a call from the woman who is artistic director of the Second Stage Theater off Broadway. And she said she wanted me to combine the communism and the sex into one show. So that show became Red Diaper Baby. And that opened in 1992 at the Second Stage Theater in New York and was directed by Josh Mustel, Zero Mustel's son. And so basically our rehearsals were mostly spent with me asking Josh Mustel to tell me stories about his dad.
Well, that's quite a history. And then when did the movie get made and how'd that happen?
I don't remember when the movie got made. The Sundance Channel wanted a concert film. So we made a concert film. And yeah, I don't remember when it was. I'm looking at it and I seem pretty youthful. I think if I'm not trying to be currently vain at the age of 60, but I seem chubbier in that performance than I feel I am now. So I feel like I've lost a little bit of weight since that performance. And I don't remember when it was. It was sometime in the last 25 years. At the Magic Theater. And that was restaged by my longtime collaborator, David Dower, for that performance. Oh, interesting, weird little fact. The art director for that concert film and production is the woman who is the art director of Trainspotting.
That's a really good movie.
Yes, it's a different style, but.
So should we ask people if they want to ask you some questions now, since it's a Q&A and we want to hear your questions if you have some.
I've got La Croix and I've got coffee. And so I am ready to go. I'm ready to answer questions.
Okay, the first one I see is from Christine. She asks, how do we see love and taxes?
Okay, cool. Great question. I'm seeing in the chat, thank you people for saying, the credits say the concert film that you just watched was made in 2004. How can you see Love and Taxes? Well, you can buy it on iTunes or on, I think on Amazon and iTunes. Or else maybe if we get to that point and Stephanie wants, maybe we will do a free screening a la this at some point to benefit the Marsh.
That would be great because it's a lot about the Marsh, that movie, isn't it?
It's a lot. You're in it. Yeah. So thank you for asking. Love and Taxes. Yeah, but on iTunes and Amazon, I'm pretty sure.
So can we have somebody come, let them, Daniel, can they ask their questions? This woman, I don't know where you see her. She's waving her hand. She's got on a black and white striped shirt.
And I'm also seeing, questions from the chat from Daphne White and from Pat, and more questions. So I don't know, should I read the questions and answer them, or
tell you what, how about we start with the one from Daphne White. Josh, how are you coping with the isolation of shelter in place? Are you still able to laugh? And
Madison, I see you're waving. I see you. I feel you. We're gonna get to you. So what was the question? How do I feel about sheltering in place?
How are you coping, how are you still able to laugh, and how are you coping with the anxiety? It's
it's been all right. Mostly it's my just absolutely consuming, which would be if I weren't in isolation, but my consuming rage at Donald Trump and at all of the people who did not protect us by shutting things down much sooner, and obviously stuff like that. But for me personally, the apartment's nice. My wife is here. Our son is here. He had to come back from college. So he thought he was leaving home last fall, but he learned that isn't always permanent because he's back here now, as long as we're in isolation. And I've been trying to read. I decided I would try to read some books that I'd never read, but I like to think people think I've read. So I started 100 Years of Solitude, but I only got through about 1 year of solitude, and then it sort of bummed me out. So I'm moving on now to this book by this guy Antonio Damasio called The Strange Order of Things. And one thing too, I do bicycling on stationary bike, and I put my regular bike on a digital trainer that I have, and then I go on this website called Zwift.com, ZWIFT, and what it happens is that when you're riding, it puts a little icon of you, and you're like, so I'm riding on my bike, but I'm seeing on the screen me riding through Italy, and all these other people riding alongside me, and I do that every day, which accounts again for my shapeliness currently.
Wonderful. I have lost Madison. I see her chat, but I don't see. Oh, Madison Kane. Oh, hello, dear.
Hi.
There we are, Madison.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Josh, I gotta tell you, I was almost in tears. I've been an usher at the Marsh, believe it or not, since 1980. So I've seen you and all of these other performers and worked the bar there like forever.
Maybe 1990? Maybe 1990?
Yeah. No, I think since 1980.
Wow.
I think even longer.
Wow.
So I think I saw you there when you were first performing. And what was very funny was I sent a copy of this to two of my employees, and I did not remember any sex scenes in this show. And
did you notice the sex scene this time, Madison? It's subtle, but did you pick up on it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I quick sent them notes again saying, oh, sorry, guys, I didn't realize this was quite so sexual. It wasn't quite my intent. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die because these are just my helpers. And I already am always making sexual innuendo jokes. But
Well, that goes without saying, Madison. We can all tell that.
Aside, I want to tell you, I was so deeply touched, and I wanted to ask, I'm assuming that all the sexual content and the oral sex and all of that, I don't remember that in the first Red Diaper Baby. Is that correct?
You're correct, Madison, in that, as I was just saying a little while ago, and by the way, I have to take a moment to give a shout out to Sharon Siskin's cat, who is, gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, as I was mentioning a little while ago, the first version I did, which a lot of people around here called Red Diaper Baby, but this show was called Josh Kornbluth's Daily World. And that show had the communism, but mostly not the sex. And I performed that originally in San Francisco, and then I went to Berkeley to Laval's Underground in Berkeley, Laval's North Side, where I had one really memorable performance where I had total, what is it when you can't talk? What's it? Laryngitis. I had total laryngitis. And so I told the audience, I croaked to them, I said, I sing a lot of like revolutionary songs in this show and I can't sing. So would you sing it? So the whole audience sang the Internationale and all the songs, no problem. It was
I
really
want to
cool.
say your voice was magnificent. The
Thanks.
performance was magnificent. I was just shaking when it was over. And I know that you have a whole different other career at UC Medical that I heard about at the mime troupe at a party 3 or 4 months ago. And it was magnificent. It was
Thank
like
you.
returning again. I was applauding even though I'm alone in my kitchen. So
That's super sweet. Thank you. That means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Okay.
I see Janine down there, Miss Janine Frank. Did you have a question, ma'am? You should be unmuted now.
Do I unmute?
Purple, yes, ma'am.
Muted. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Josh. Hi, everyone.
By the way, people who are writing questions in the chat, I am seeing them and I will get to them. So,
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Janine Frank. Hello.
Hi. So, Josh, I was trying to figure out when I met you, and it was 1992.
Yeah.
And when you came down to LA and we did all these shows together, but you at that time were doing 3 shows, and you had the Moisture Seekers, which now I think, and maybe why Madison didn't see the sexual scene was from the Moisture Seekers, right?
It was from the Moisture Seekers. And interestingly, or to me, interestingly, when I started the Moisture Seekers, I started with the title. And the title, I was originally going to be about the fact that at the time my mouth felt really dry. And I looked up and I found a newsletter about Sjogren's disease. And it's a disease that gives you a dry mouth and sometimes dry eyes as well. So I decided I was going to do a monologue about Sjogren's disease called The Moisture Seekers. And then people kept saying, The Moisture Seekers, is it about sex? And so then I just had to give in and make it about sex. But I think Sjogren's disease would have been a much more interesting subject for everybody.
Anyway, it was terrific. It was really great to watch. I don't think I'd ever seen the movie of it. So it was just great. Thanks.
Thank you, Janine. It's great to see you. Janine produced these incredible performances that were in people's houses. So she took me around to people's houses and I would perform there, and then I would just steal what I felt I could get away with from these wealthy people. It was a great time. Okay.
Janine, are you watching from Los Angeles?
What? I'm watching from LA. Yeah. And Stephanie, I think we met like 30 years ago.
I remember.
So actually, so many of the wonderful people who performed at the Marsh, I was able to do a few shows with when they came to LA. And Charlie and God, there was a guy, David Cohen. Anyway, a lot of wonderful solo artists. So you've done an amazing job there.
Thank you for supporting them.
The reason I knew about Josh, I was sending out a note to some friends today to watch the movie. And so I was looking up kind of a little bit in my archives, but I found out about Josh through an article I read in Mother Jones called Red Diaper. It was in 1991. And something like rash, something. Do you remember that, Josh? You must.
I remember that I was in Mother Jones, and I think that shows
anyway,
you that
so it
shows
was
you
so-
that the quality of material Mother Jones puts in their magazine like that is why they are still thriving today.
It was so funny and so brilliant. I'd never really read anything like that. And of course, there was no internet or anything. I called information for Josh Kornbluth and found him. And
Wow, I was listed. That's cool.
You were listed. I know. Anyway, it was interesting time. But
Great. Well, thank you so much, Janine.
that piece was just sort of a life changer in a way. It was just a fantastic thing to read and to see what kind of creativity was out there.
Thank you very much. And thanks for driving me around LA.
I drove you all around LA, right?
Yeah. Okay, other questions? I see hands, I see comments. Someone in authority tell me what to do.
How about we get to Sinburg? That question's been there for a while. Sinburg, that's, yes, Sinburg. How many shows do you have? Are they all in rotation? How much are you still performing?
So how many shows do I have? I think like about 8. And I perform most of them. I do them in rotation. I just did, there was we had a little Joshapalooza festival, as we called it, at Theater First in Berkeley. And I did a few of my shows there. And so I still perform, but as opposed to previously when I really made my money by touring with my pieces, for the last 3 years, I've been a fellow at the Global Brain Health Institute at UCSF. And so I'm working on a piece that's gonna open, if pieces open in the fall, it's gonna open this fall about the brain and democracy. That's at, that will be at the Ashby Stage in Berkeley in October. And I also make these videos that you should all watch. Go to citizenbrain.org. I'm so excited about them. I'm connecting brain science and social justice, just like everyone always wanted. Citizenbrain.org. Patricia Ballier is really excited to see Rod in the comments. Was there any, did I not answer a part of that question?
I think we answered it just fine. Tanya and Rod answered a similar, they asked a similar question, and I'll read it. There's maybe some bleed over. I'm curious about the production. How many shows did you film? Also, is there something, Red Diaper Baby, is there something you could make into a film?
Hi, Tanya, and hi, Rod, and thank you. So I have 2 concert films. This one, which was directed by Doug Prey, a really great documentary maker, and The Mathematics of Change, which was directed by another great filmmaker, my brother Jacob Kornbluth, and they're both available on my website. But I think we were going to show, hopefully, we might be streaming The Mathematics of Change as well. But those later for the Marsh, I don't know. It's up to MarshStream. But those are the 2 that are concert films. And then I have, just sort of archival videos of the other ones. But if you've ever seen, normally archival videos of theater stuff is awful. Like you look at it and you sort of want to die. It's just, theater does not translate well on film unless you do it really well. So those are the 2. And yes, I would love to make Red Diaper Baby into a film. It was optioned in 1992 by Paramount? One of those big film companies. No, Universal? Universal, maybe Universal. Maybe they're all the same now. Anyhow, it was optioned by big studio. And I met with Dustin Hoffman, who I was really excited. I told him, you'd be good as my dad. He was taller than you, but I think you could swing it because you're a really good actor. But it turns out that Dustin Hoffman just wanted to meet me because he had gotten a script somehow when the script didn't exist of Red Diaper Baby. And he I guess he said he read to his family every night, and they had made him read Red Diaper Baby twice, and he wanted to meet me. So Dustin Hoffman, let's say Dustin Hoffman considered playing the father in a production, in a feature film of Red Diaper Baby that never happened. Which I think is as successful as I can imagine.
Daniel, there's a woman, there's somebody bottom left-hand corner who has been raising a hand.
I think you and I have slightly different screens, but if she jumps up and down and waves vigorously, I'll scroll through my folks.
It's really a high bar you set there for getting noticed.
I think we're a little too lethargic of late, and I want people to get up and about.
Yeah. This is reminiscent of Republican efforts to deny people the right to vote by making it difficult. We're making people jump up and down in order to ask questions.
I want to see if they really have a good question or not, if they really think it is. I don't see this. I don't see anybody doing calisthenics or.
Should we keep going through the?
Oh, I see. Is it Patricia Corrigan? I see Patricia. Here she is. She has a wonderful question, I bet. Here she is, Josh.
Well, it's not a question. Hello, Josh. Hello,
Hi, Patricia.
I've worried about both of you. Josh, I have to say, I had not seen Red Diaper Baby. I've seen Love and Taxes, and I've seen Haiku Tunnel, and I was laughing so hard alone in my apartment. I was afraid the guy upstairs was going to start pounding on the ceiling. Thank you for so many qualitative laughs at this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you. And it's great to see you. It's really cool. I've been watching stuff too, a lot. Like I've been watching YouTube videos that musicians have been doing from their homes. And it really helps. It's really great to just be connected to artists and for artists to be connected to the audience. It's awesome. So thank you.
There was a question, I don't know where to find it right now. It's kind of gone by, but how are you doing with the political scene, especially, and with that Bernie Sanders has dropped out of the presidential race?
Well, I'm going to talk about Bernie Sanders for a second, and I'm looking forward to talking about Bernie Sanders because he is a totally uncontroversial person. And of all the people watching here, there will be no disagreement about Bernie Sanders. Of that, I am sure. Okay, so moving forward, I love Bernie. I was very much into Bernie. I am heartbroken that he's not running anymore, and I will do anything to elect Joe Biden if he is our, as it looks like, our nominee. Elizabeth Warren would have been incredibly amazing as a president. Elizabeth Warren would have been such a great president. I got that off my chest. But Bernie, I mean, you know, once my wife and I were doing a rally, just a little rally that we did in downtown Berkeley, and we were heckled by the University of California at Berkeley Republican Club. They came to heckle us because we were doing this rally for peace, right? So they were heckling us. And then they were saying, you guys are into Bernie Sanders, right? And so I said, well, look, you guys, if you tell me, if not Bernie Sanders, what aged Jewish socialist from New York would you vote for president? And they could not answer. So, you know, I think when you frame the question, it's very important how you do that.
Daniel, there's some more questions you can see.
I see from Sarah Sunstein. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Josh, in the beginning, during the multiple voices, you were saying something about RDB being totally fiction. Can you repeat that information or whatever's relevant about that? Thank you.
Yes, I was making one of what has continued to be a series of stupid comments from my apartment here. I was joking and saying that I was a Mormon and that I made all of this stuff up about Jewish communist life because I wanted to impress everybody with how imaginative I was. But in fact, in truth, I was in fact raised by Jewish communists in New York. And in general, with this piece and with all my pieces, my general rule of thumb about what's true is that if anything seems just unbelievable, then it absolutely was true. So my father waking me up with the Internationale with talcum powder bouncing up off of his balls, absolutely true. You know, and yeah, so it's, but there is fictionalizing that I do.
Do you want to give us an example?
Of the fictionalizing, not the talc, please.
Oh, you mean like from Red Diaper Baby?
Actually, from the Moisture Seekers.
Stephanie, that's throwing such shade at me. I cannot even. That's as far as I'm going on that.
Okay, do from what you want something that's not true.
I changed the name of the dog in the sex scene to protect the identity of the dog. The dog was not named Beanie.
What was it named?
I'm not going to say. You think I reveal the identities of dogs that I put in my shows? No.
Okay.
No way.
Any more questions, Daniel? Did I cut you off, Josh? Were you going to say something?
No. I'm just looking to see if there were more from the
Miriam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Miriam has one, and you're unmuted, ma'am. Please continue.
Thank you. Well, I have to say I'm thrilled to be here, and I was thrilled to watch Red Diaper Baby again. I saw it with an old boyfriend in I think it was 1992, it might have been 1991, in Laval's Subterranean Pizza. And so today I get an email. I'm both on Stephanie's list for the Marsh because I take a theater class with Philippa Kelly. And I did go to see, now I'm trying to think of the woman who put her head in the oven there. I forgot, the poet. But anyway, so I did see one of the shows there.
Who killed Sylvia Plath?
That's it, thank you. Who killed Sylvia Plath. And I'm looking forward to seeing more. But Janine Frank, who spoke before, has been a friend of mine for, I don't know, over 30 years. We met right after college. And so she reminded me again today to listen to Red Diaper Baby for a second time. And it was just so enjoyable. I just really loved it. And I also
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you very much.
I've watched almost the Love and Taxes at Berkeley Rep and most everything you've done, Haiku Tunnel. I've been a fan for a long time. Actually, I saw you, you were like the host for the 50th, I think it was 50th anniversary of Fiddler on the Roof, where they showed the movie. And we walked over and you were-
Yes, it was a sing-along. It was a sing-along for the 50th anniversary of Fiddler on the Roof.
And the reason I truly remember it is because you were giving away a prize that evening to the person who could, who knew what was the real name of Sholem Aleichem. And I think I was the only, it was a crowd of a few hundred people there, and I think I was the only person who knew. And so I got to come up and you gave me the prize of the book because my dad had always told me that he had shared the same last name as me, Rabinovitz. So that was Sholem Aleichem's real name.
Cool.
But the other thing was that I saw you, I used to work in the aging community till I retired 3 years ago in gerontology. And we used to help fund adult day healthcare. And you spoke at that conference that they had. Ann Warner Wrights was the director at that time. You spoke, it was at Freight and Salvage?
Freight and Salvage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, you know, you were talking about Zen and you're volunteering at the Zen Center.
That's Zen Hospice.
Right.
Yeah, the Zen Hospice Project.
A woman who was dying soon. And I thought to myself, how are we going to turn this into something funny? Well, when you started in with the Olive Garden as her last meal, I was like rolling on the floor. It was just, I so remember that tears and laughter were coming out.
That's a piece that hasn't yet, we were about to try to get it staged. That was the piece about me being at the Zen Hospice Project for several years. It was called The Bottomless Bowl. And I just had an incredibly life-changing, beautiful time. I was first the visiting artist, the artist in residence at the hospice, and then I volunteered for several years. And those are some of my best experiences of my life.
Funny and moving at the same time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I really enjoy your work. Thank you.
So I think we have time for one more question. Is there anybody in the Zoom room that likes?
May I bring one over from YouTube? One of our viewers is on YouTube Live, and it's a great question. and she's been waiting very, very patiently. And the question is from a Miss Arlene Baxter. The question is, how did Marcy Wasserman feel about her starring role in your monologue?
Well, first of all, if I changed Beanie's name, you gotta know that I would change Marcy Wasserman's name, right? So, this is a sensitive subject. I don't know why you bring it up. I mean, who started talking about Marcy Wasserman and sex in the first place? I mean, why? Oh, okay. So, when the woman on whom Marcy Wasserman was based saw it, Red Diaper Baby, for a day, she refused to speak to me. And then the next day, she started speaking to me again, and she thought it was pretty good.
You know, Josh, that's a question I always wanted to ask you. And it's been, what, 30 years now since I first saw Red Diaper Baby? So thank you for revealing that.
Yes, it's been a really long time. I see a note from Cynthia Papermaster, who's one of my neighbors and also is a character in my show, Citizen Josh. And I don't change her name in that, because if someone is named Cynthia Papermaster, you can't change that. There's nothing better than Cynthia Papermaster. And no one better either.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, anyhow, so that piece, The Bottomless Bowl, I hope to do it at some point. And the same director and dramaturg I worked with on that, who are amazing, are working with me on the show Citizen Brain, also titled Citizen Brain, that will be opening at the Ashby Stage Theater in October, coronavirus willing. And yeah, let's see, something. Was there something I was gonna say? Hello, someone, I'm just randomly, I used to be a copy editor, so I have to read the notes. Hello, says Kristen LaFollette. Do you see your work at Zen Hospice impacting your piece from UCSF? Yes, Kristen, absolutely. And that's a very perceptive question. In fact, my experience at the hospice and the beauty in life that I was able to experience by being with people who were dying and people who were caring for them was what inspired me to try to do a similar thing and have experiences with people with dementia and the people who care for them. So, and yes, I consider it all sort of the same story. It's, you know, spiritual. I guess I'm revealing that I'm a Californian now, but I think of it as spiritual.
Anything else you want to say? Maybe it's time to wrap up. It's almost 9:40. Josh, did you want to say anything?
Oh, no, you know, if you still have questions for me, I'll be walking around Berkeley wearing a mask every once in a while, so you can catch me there. Or you can write to me at josh@joshkornbluth.com. Send me emails and I'll write back to you. I really don't have that much else to do right now, so I'll definitely get to it. And again, I also just want to say, I encourage you, if you haven't seen them, to watch. So far, there are 3 videos in my series that is called Citizen Brain. It is at citizenbrain.org. And the 3 videos that I've made so far are on empathy, ageism, and loneliness. Loneliness is the most recent one, and it seems quite timely right now. And I'm working on one. The next one's going to be about othering and belonging.
Josh, if I may just chime in, in the show notes, I will make certain to put a link to Citizen Brain, the website, and the YouTube site. Some of the videos are fantastic, as well as information about mathematics of change and the Amazon show Love and Taxes, or rather the show Love and Taxes available on Amazon, as well as your contact webpage. Anything else that you'd like to make certain that I share with our folks?
Yes, I'm always reachable at joshkornbluth.com. It amazes me that no one had actually previously nailed down joshkornbluth.com before I thought to purchase that. You would think it would have been long gone, but
it's an iconic name, Josh.
Yeah. There is another Josh Kornbluth who does comedy, or he did comedy, and I heard from him. He was doing stand-up for a while. He's not me. He's younger. And I think he gave it up at some point. But when I heard there was another Josh Kornbluth doing comedy, that's when I felt I had to nail down joshkornbluth.com. And also I had to get a movie part so I could be in the Screen Actors Guild, so that Josh Kornbluth, I was the only one who could be Josh Kornbluth.
And you managed to reach those goals and do it.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is getting close. This is what? What, Josh?
No, I just want to say it's just really beautiful doing this. I mean, Stephanie, you and the whole team, it's amazing that you're doing it. I've told you this many times over the days, but your ingenuity at putting this community together, at gathering us, is so important and so beautiful and smart. So thank you. Thank you. And everyone who's watched the movie and is watching the Q&A, thank you. It's I'll never forget this experience. It's interesting, some of the connections that we're making during this time of isolation. I feel sometimes they're, in a way, sometimes deeper than connections that we're used to making, because the connections are so hard to make and so special, and the time is so dire. So everyone, I just wish you all peace. Happy Pesach, happy Easter. And for Zoroastrians, you're on your own. I really don't know what holiday you'd be celebrating right